welcome to the final breakout session of today's Sales Summit. I'm Avery Buys. I am a senior here at the David Eccles School of Business, studying marketing as well as emphasizing in sales. I'm excited to be here and to share this opportunity with everyone else here for Sales Summit. In this session, we'll be hearing from 3 entrepreneurs who graduated from the Luxem Entrepreneurial program here at the Eccles School. Katy Luxem is founder and CEO of Big Dill Pickleball Company and a graduate of the Master Business Creation program at the Eccles School. She has more than 15 years experience in e-commerce, and in 2020, Katy founded Big Dill Pickleball Co., a pickleball paddle and gear company focused on the fun, inclusive elements of America's fastest growing sport. Dylan Turner? Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Dylan Turner is a seasoned entrepreneur and co-founder and CPO of DoxyMe, a telemedicine platform committed to simplifying healthcare access. And in his current role, he oversees the company's product strategy and previously served as CTO of DoxyMe, helping to scale the business to more than $50 million in annual revenue. Today's panel is monitored by Sadie Bowler. Sadie is currently an undergraduate here at the Eccles School and part of Luxem's Founders Program. She is co-founder and CEO of Sadie B Personal Care Products. The brand's uplifting message flips the script on beauty messaging, prioritizing activities, aspirations, and mental hygiene over physical beauty. Sadie B products are about to launch in Targets across the country and are also available online. We are so excited to hear from all of these guests and how they have developed their sales skills as entrepreneurs. Please welcome and join them, or please welcome me in joining them.
Perfect. Perfect. Thanks so much for those intros. That was perfect. So I'm Sadie, co-founder and CEO of Sadie B Personal Care. We sell earth-friendly salon quality shampoos, conditioners, and other personal care products specifically for Gen Z girls, and are getting ready to launch into over 500 Target stores nationwide February 26th. So getting super excited for that. And do you guys have anything to add to your intros? Or?
No, I think that was a great intro. I'll just say DoxyMe is a telehealth product, so we sell to providers, and they can use our product to see their patients remotely.
Yeah, my intro is good too. Does everyone know what pickleball is? Love it? Okay. Let's get started.
Okay, perfect. We'll just jump into the first question. So when did you realize as an entrepreneur that you were also a sales representative, and how has that view changed over time? Katy, let's start with you.
Yeah, so it's great because I'm B2C, Dylan's more B2B, and Sadie's kind of a combo of both. So for B2C, I'm obviously focused on that consumer, that individual making a purchase, and obviously I want a lot of individuals to purchase my product. So my corporate background's in Amazon. I worked there for a long time, and I worked with other e-commerce companies. So a real Amazon principle is starting with the customer and working backwards from that in everything that you do. So I really built that into my entrepreneurial journey, just with the product development and brand development, thinking about things, for example, with product creation. I knew if I got bad reviews, that was obviously going to be really detrimental from the get-go. So I wanted to make a high-quality product, thinking about what the customer wanted, how we're going to communicate it, and making sure that we're going to have a good experience from the start. I don't think I was thinking of myself as a salesperson from the beginning. I was more thinking about the product and the brand as the salesperson. And where it kind of switched for me was, I think I went on like a morning show in Salt Lake City called Good Things Utah. And I was like, okay, great. I really have to communicate this as myself, as the founder, be the face of the business. And that wasn't something that was super natural for me, though I had been really intentional about the brand and our mission and our products. So I think that was when I started thinking about being the face of the company and putting myself out there a little more. And obviously I've done that a lot since then.
So from ours, we started, so we're a software product, and we started with nothing. So we had to build what we were going to deliver. So from mine, we were basically kind of taking this traditional software MVP approach. We put something up. We even put the website up before we even had some of the product, right? So people were calling us or emailing us, and I was basically acting as customer support, saying hey, what are you trying to do? Oh, I'm trying to do this. So I'm coming at from the product side, but what I realized is this opportunity, I'm trying to build a great product, but if people can't figure out what your product's value is, if people can't figure out how to use it, well, you should probably listen to them and understand what they're really trying to do and adjust your product accordingly. So for me, the sales moment was when people are asking you, oh, I'm trying to do this, or I'm really having a hard time doing that. Oh, well, okay, great, let me help you with that. So I think from the sales point of view, sometimes I see it as like we're almost like solution finders. Like, tell me what are you struggling with? What are you really trying to do? And then we can like work backwards and really build that service for them, build that product for them. So I've been doing that the whole time. I kind of function at a unique role in our company because I was doing the customer support, I was doing sales, I was building the product, and so you kind of took all these kind of functions and just put the things you learned. Why did people cancel? Somebody calls you up to cancel your account. It's a perfect time to talk to them about like, where did the product fail you? What happened? What can we do to change? And then wrap that back in to the product development.
Yeah, those are great answers. I think I love this idea that when we start selling the product, when we realized we were salespeople, was when we started connecting with our consumer, whether it's through sharing the brand story as the founder or customer support. And that was super similar to my experience, and it was really face-to-face connection when I realized that I was a salesperson. I didn't really think of myself as that before then, but then we started going to, starting at super small local markets and things like that, and realizing, engaging people's reactions as I would tell my pitch a certain way, and them either getting super interested or being like, oh, okay, like I'll buy it later. And realizing that, just that face-to-face and connecting with the consumer is what sales is about. And yeah, those are good answers. Okay, the second question. In prepping for this panel, we're realizing that one thing we had in common was that none of us created something new. We didn't invent something new. I didn't invent shampoo. Katy did not invent pickleball. And Dylan didn't invent telehealth. Rather, we each identified a hole in the market and created a solution. So how did you identify that hole and create those products and solutions and sell to those consumers? Dylan, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, so ours was kind of that classic entrepreneurial story of the entrepreneur having the problem and having to solve it for themselves. So Brandon, my co-founder, was a PhD student up here at the U, and he was tasked with this grant they were doing, a prenatal study, like testing the efficacy of telemedicine. Could you deliver telehealth and have it just be as effective as in-person visits? So he's great. Okay, all I have to do, I've got this grant, I've got this study I've got to run. All I have to do is find some technology and go implement this study. So he's like, okay, I'm just going to use Skype or FaceTime. Everybody knows it. It's on your phone. It's on the computer, and it's easy. It's free. Go to do it. The healthcare, the University of Utah privacy and security folks are like, absolutely not. No, you got to have something that's HIPAA compliant. It's got all these standards. So he's like, okay, great, I'll look around. This is late 2012, early 2013, and he's like, the people at the time doing, audio, video, and HIPAA compliant was Polycom, Cisco. So he's like talking to him. He's like, hey, I want to do this. They're like, great, we'll ship your people some hardware. They'll install it. They'll register. They'll download this. He's like, what are you talking about? Like, no one's going to do that. No, like, these are moms with 5 kids. Like, no one has time for this. Oh, and the cherry on top, it's like $1,000 a month per user. He's like, absolutely not. So the problem he was faced with is like, I want an easy and cheap solution that's HIPAA compliant, and so he set out to solve that. And that's really where the story came from. He really didn't want to even develop a product. He went to another company that had a similar solution, and he's like, hey, that was focused on enterprise. He's like, hey, just offer a free version, take out the bells and whistles. We'll use you guys, it'll be great. And they refused to, and so he was kind of like, you know what, fine. If you're not going to do it, no one's going to do it, I'm going to go out. And that was kind of this gap he saw where it's like, we need something easy, we need something affordable, and that HIPAA compliant secure piece. And so it was really him having the problem that he needed to go solve.
Awesome.
For me, for e-commerce, e-commerce is super saturated. There's 2 million Amazon sellers right now selling millions of products, different categories and everything. I was working in e-commerce with as an Amazon consultant for a lot of bigger brands like Panasonic and Honeywell and Ocean Spray, and then also small startups. And I just saw repeatedly the same errors and mistakes and issues they were having. So over time, I just saw, oh, maybe I could do this better. I also started researching pickleball when I was like, okay, this is getting popular. Let's look at what gaps in the market there are. What are people searching for that isn't on Amazon? And what is a product that people would definitely go to Amazon for? And that's when I kind of started generating the idea about having products specifically geared toward beginners and people just entering the sport. Because that's, if people play it on the weekend with their friends, they're gonna hop on Amazon and grab some paddles. I wanted to make something that looked different and that was funny. Our paddles have a pickle on it. They're kind of silly, but they're high quality. And so that's kind of where that started. Also, I wasn't just looking to start like any Amazon business. It had to check certain boxes. Like I said, I worked with a lot of different companies, and there's a lot of hurdles with different product types. I wanted something that wasn't breakable, something that was easy to ship and store, not too expensive in that respect, that there wasn't super like regulated, like toys or baby or health products. I didn't want liquids or consumables or anything expirable. So it really was a weird way that pickleball checked these boxes. And I thought, okay, I'm the perfect person to do this on this platform at this time. So that's kind of how it came about.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think for Sadie B, it was similar. We didn't create shampoo. We created a brand around it. And similar to the Doxy Me founder, we were experiencing the issue personally that we wanted to solve. And there were a few different experiences that led us to that and made us really aware of this issue. And it's really, so our mission at Sadie B is to change the dialogue in the beauty industry. And rather than bombarding girls with unfair and unrealistic beauty standards, instead uplifting them and encouraging personal development. And we were facing this problem as consumers of these products. And when I say we, I mean me and my sister. We co-founded the business together. And anyway, so there were a couple experiences that led to us realizing the problem that we wanted to solve. And one of those was just my experience growing up doing hair. So I styled hair for school dances and then eventually entire wedding parties, and was just really immersed in the beauty and personal care space at a really young age. And through that, recognizing that these messages I was constantly receiving telling me I had to look a certain way to be considered good enough were taking a toll on my mental health. And when I switched my focus to be on my personal development, that changed everything for me. And another experience was I just went to the grocery store with my dad. He was out of shampoo. And we went to the shampoo aisle, and there's all the big brands, and he picks up 2 bottles, and he turns to me and he says, okay, do I want lasting shine or touchable softness? And I laughed. The mom and daughter next to us burst out laughing, and it was hilarious thinking about a dad needing to be shiny and touchable. Like, that's not their goal. They don't need to be that to accomplish anything. And so walking away from that experience, realizing that those messages were aimed at me and other girls my age was something that I wanted to change. And I, at the time, was I was the ideal consumer for these products. I loved hair care, and they weren't speaking to me, and in a way that was uplifting, and like they actually knew what was important to me. So anyways, that was when we created the Sadie B brand, and really a brand that focuses on celebrating the whole girl and combining personal care and mental hygiene powered by girls. So yeah, I think it's really about solving a problem that you're passionate about, that you're facing personally, or that there's a hole in the market for, and not necessarily always inventing something new. Perfect. The last question, one other common theme was when we were preparing for this, was talking about that lucky moment that allowed us to have our big break. I want to know what that moment was for each of you, and when you got that big break and sale, when you started thinking, oh, things are going to change, and this could really be a business. Katy, do you want to start us off?
Yeah. So for me, it wasn't like one big event other than the pandemic, but it was more like a series of small things that made it feel like cumulatively more like significant. So initially for me, it was probably like revenue stuff, like, oh, we hit 25K, 50K, 100K, 500K, whatever. But then it started to be more like external things. Pretty early on, I got contacted by the governor's office in Utah, and they were doing an initiative to promote women-owned businesses, and I just said yes to that. And then they were doing like some billboards and some TV things. So once I did that, I kind of was like, okay, I have my foot in the door with this PR thing, and that led us to being in Men's Health, and then Forbes, and New York Times, and USA Today. So it kind of like all snowballed and became like, hey, we can be like a face of pickleball. If people are looking for an image for pickleball article, they can use us. And I think a lot of that came from just consistency and saying yes to different opportunities. Sometimes I was doing things that were talking about like the growth of pickleball or the sport, and sometimes I was doing things that are being a woman-owned business, or that being a mom-owned business or something like that. So I just kind of said yes to different things and made like progress that way. I also had a mentor in the MBC program here, Paul Brown, who said, like, if you're doing all the right things and you're in the right place at the right time, you'll eventually get lucky. And I think that's really true. Like, you just have to keep doing different things, trying different things, and moving forward, and then you're going to get access to these other opportunities. So that's kind of it for me.
Mm-hmm.
I very much agree, where it's like, every major company, that's like every startup that's gotten successful had some sort of lucky break. And I think the takeaway from me is like, put yourself in a position to get lucky. And for us, we asked ourselves, what is not going to change in 10 years? People are always going to want something to see their doctor easier, cheaper, free ideally, in secure way. Like, those things will never change in 10 years. And so we don't know if telehealth is going to get big next year, the final year, 10 years from now. And so really the question you need to ask yourself, how can you stay alive long enough to hit that inflection point? And so for us, it was very deliberate. It's like, okay, well, we're going to have a free product. We're going to make it secure. We're going to make it very easy to use. And we're going to choose the way we structure our business to be able to last in a very economical way. So we used open source software. We used peer-to-peer technology that didn't require all these heavy infrastructure of media relay servers that everybody was using at the time. And we were basically like, let's just break even every year or grow just a little bit. So that was it. We started this in 2013, so that was a 7-year slog to get to our lucky moment, which was, of course, COVID, where everybody needed telemedicine. Which was unique about us was we were perfectly positioned for COVID because it was such a quick onset. People, our customer base, they were finding out Sunday night that they weren't allowed into their clinic to see their patients, and they needed some way to see them remotely. Doxme was the only solution that was free. You could sign up in 30 seconds and see a person in 30 seconds. Like, it was the least overhead. All of our competitors were used to selling to enterprises. So they have, 6-month sales cycles. You've got to book a demo just to use the product. It was just, they were all the wrong place at the wrong time. We were the right thing at the right time. So, position yourself to get lucky, stay in the game long enough to get there.
Yeah, totally. I think in all of our cases, timing and relevance to the consumer was the key. With pickleball, the growing popularity of that for Katy, of course, COVID and telehealth. And I think that's the same situation where, and why Sadie B got their big break, or our big break. And, we were connected with the target buyers through a female founder event, another female founder that we met. And she has an incredible B Corp company, and so we reached out to her. She has 5 daughters. We were like, oh, we have to send you product. And we sent her product, and about a week later, she emailed us back with a photo of her daughters holding the product, and she said, "This has to be in Target. Meet my broker below." And we were like, "Oh my gosh!" Like this came a lot quicker than we had thought. We hadn't even been in business for a year yet, and but the hair care reset, when Target does all of what they call line reviews, where they take out products and put new products in, they reset every year in the hair care category. And so it was 1 week away from the reset when we were contacted by the broker, and he said, "Okay, put together a deck as quickly as you can. We'll email it to the buyer and see if he's even willing to meet with you." And he ended up being willing to meet with us, which is incredible. And the pitch went super well. And then it was silence for a long time. We pitched last April, and then we didn't hear anything back until May. But all we heard back was, "Just start registering as a Target vendor. This is not a yes." And then it was nothing for another couple months. And then in July, we just had a 15-minute call with the buyer pop up on our calendars. And we were like, "Oh, just enough time for him to tell us no, like this, well, next year maybe." Anyways, but we joined the call without any introductions or anything. We hop on the call and it just goes, "So you're getting into Target." And we could not help but just we freaked out. And that's like such a memorable big break for us. But I think it really comes down to this similar situation, and why Target ultimately chose to take Sadie B was because of the relevance to the consumer and the timing. There's no other hair care brands specifically targeting Gen Z girls, which is a demographic that Target really needs to capture right now, because they will soon have a lot of buying power. And hair care is one of the biggest spend categories for Gen Z girls. So anyways, that's the timing and relevance for the consumers is super important. And there's some luck involved with that, but definitely strategy and being deliberate about it. Awesome. Well, we can jump into a Q&A. If anyone has questions, we can just ask us the question, and then we'll repeat it into the microphone for the mics to hear. And yeah. Any questions?
Were these businesses your first businesses, and if not, how did your earlier ventures shape these businesses?
So the question is, if these were our first businesses, or if we'd had other businesses, and how did it shape? So I'll just speak myself. No, Doxy was not my first. I tried several times, and all of them drove them into the ground. Actually, the Rob Webeker, he's a teacher here. I haven't seen him in probably 10 years, and I just ran into him, which was nice. But his class, his semester, he said, "If you guys have a profitable business at the end of this class, you'll get an automatic A." I think the business school shut him down on this now, but I definitely took advantage of this. And so for me, I was just thinking, like, what is guaranteed to make money? What is the cheapest thing I can sell for the highest revenue? It was baked goods, like a scone. It takes flour, butter, and some, raisins or whatever. And so I was like, "Oh, I'm just going to do that. I'm going to sell it to the CCR building's cafe." And sure enough, made money. But that turned into a catering business, which then I got approached at one of the weddings I was doing, and he said, "Hey, I want to open a coffee shop. Will you, open it with me?" Again, that's the one I definitely drove in. But so how did it shape me? I think what a coffee shop showed me was you can kill yourself working at a coffee shop, and you'll be there all day, every day. You're going to bake goods. You're going to wake up at 4 in the morning, 3 in the morning to get there, and your total gain, your total potential outcome for that is maybe a couple $100,000 a year at the best, unless you're like Starbucks, right? Which is like 1 in a billion kind of opportunity. And so for me, it's like, this is, I could put in a ton of effort to this, and I'm maxed out at the cap, or I could go into software and, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, I didn't have anything else before it that I had started myself. Like I said, I worked I worked in e-commerce, so I worked for a lot of other companies working and selling on Amazon and other e-commerce platforms. But yeah, I didn't really have a ton of interest in doing it until I felt like it made sense. So that was it for me.
Yeah, I was just running the wedding hairstyling company before, doing hair for wedding parties, and I mean, obviously that passion and that interest in the industry is what led me to discover the problem and create the solution. So, yeah. Yeah.
So speaking back to like what you were saying earlier, what is something like the biggest obstacles you each had to overcome before you had your big break? That if you had not overcome, you probably wouldn't be here now where you're sitting.
Okay, what are the biggest obstacles we had to overcome that led to our big break and got us where we are today? Yeah, I can start. I think I'm in a super interesting position, and I often think that just my ignorance is bliss, that being naive is what got me here. But I jumped in head first. I started working on Sadie when I was 16, so I was a junior in high school. And have just learned along the way by failing over and over again. And so I think the obstacle I've had to overcome honestly is just self-doubt and being in a position that's not very common to be in as such a young female entrepreneur. And I think one of the biggest helps to that has been finding amazing mentors. And we've built an advisory board that supports ADB and gives us incredible business advice. And anyway, some of those people are just champion women entrepreneurs that have connected us to the female founder community in Utah and really inspired us to focus on our social impact program. And so yeah, I think having mentors has really helped me overcome that. And then, of course, connecting with these female founders led us to connecting with the target buyers. So.
Yeah, for me, the biggest obstacle was probably scale. When I started the business, it was kind of just like, let's do this as a side thing. Let's see what happens. Pickleball really took off towards the end of the pandemic when people were going outside again and, meeting with people. And when I first started, I bought 2 boxes of 50 pickleball paddles, and very quickly it was like, wait, we need to order like 200K of inventory. So for me, it was scale in all aspects of the business. I had a really good handle on like the marketing and the brand creation and like imagery and copy and stuff like that. But for me, everything else was kind of a struggle to scale as far as logistics and operations, importing things. And then the financial pieces, obviously, your problems when you're spending $2,000 are not that significant, but then suddenly they are when you scale up. And what was really helpful with that was the Master's Business Creation program, because they take you through the financial model, they take you through all the different pieces, and that mentorship aspect too, just running problems by other entrepreneurs and other people in the space was really invaluable for me.
I think as I've, not only with Doxamy, but as I've met other people, successful entrepreneurs, pretty much everybody can tell you like near-death experiences of the company, and Doxamy is no different. Of course we got lucky breaks, but I honestly don't know how many times we probably almost went out of business. We were, in multiple lawsuits. We were in there's just crazy amounts of founder, disputes and getting rid of all equity holders, and we had multiple hostile takeovers. We had one of our early developers. He took the servers hostage and ransomed us. So I think as you get into this, I think I agree with Sadie, which is like, if you would have told me how hard it was going to be, I wouldn't have signed up for this. And in fact, I think I've quit like twice on Brandon, and he talked me back into it. But so I can't name maybe one in particular. Every one was challenging. We had a lawsuit that lasted about 3 years, and that was very difficult just because it's psychologically taxing, especially these people that have been through this before. So you really got to be careful who you bring in, because if they use the law to mess with you psychologically, it's pretty, you know, it's pretty messed up. Like calling me on July 4th saying, hey, you know, I just filed this thing against you for X, Y, and Z. You're like, oh my gosh. So anyway, just not to discourage you, but yeah, it can be rough.
Perfect. I think we have time for one more question, maybe. All right. Or we can wrap up. Okay, perfect. Well, that is all the time we have. Thank you so much for joining us and coming to the summit today. Yeah, I think that's all.